Hello race fans and welcome to this week's Daily Race C at Watkins Glen in the United States. It's an absolute blast to race around this track. My view is that this track has everything to make for fantastic races, and this race will also not disappoint you in that regard, I hope. Without spoiling you, I can promise you that the final lap of this race, or even the final two corners of this race, are just going to be epic. Partially because I get served with a penalty for crossing the pit entry line, a 3-second penalty, which seems to be a thing on this track as well. Cars lining up, waiting for the countdown. 3, 2, 1, and we are off. Heading into turn 1, fairly great distance between me and the car in front. Turning in, missing the apex a little bit, but also getting a really good exit actually for this first fast flowing sector of Watkins Glen. Yeah, I really like it. It's just amazing to race around here. Each time I get a lap, it's just an amazing feeling. So attacking the first curb of this bus stop chicane, straightening the car out, and then lining the car up for this next section, going down a gear, early on the throttle, and we already saw one car going off and another car getting slapped with a 1-second penalty. The Spaniard going to serve this penalty after this corner, and we actually choose just to go through the Spaniard in this case. Yeah, 1-second penalty is long enough to, in this case, do such a thing. Short shift back to second, and then shift back to second and then short shift into third. Same goes for this corner, just to get the car rotating. In the penultimate corner, this corner, you can choose either to go down a gear back to third, or lift and keep it in fourth. And the last corner you need to shift down a gear into third, and then what I do usually is short shift into fourth to maintain the highest speed possible. Into lap number 2, tiny bit of oversteer, but it's all good. And as you can see, the number 1 and 2 are sort of in a battle, or at least in each other's slipstream range. Number 1 goes defensive, again attacking this curb, straightening the car out. Yeah, this chicane usually goes really well for me. Getting a good launch, no penalty in this case because I keep enough tires on the gray stuff in this case. This is also a tricky corner, but if you get it right, you can gain a lot of time. Same goes for this corner, which I find is really easy to get an oversteer moment if you get on the throttle too early or too aggressive. And this last sector is my worst sector of the track. I usually mess up 1 or 2 corners in my quali lap at this track, and yeah, it's just really tough for me to get the whole sector in a nice flow. We are already underway as we are blinded by the sunlight, the sunset. Going into lap number 3. Setting a personal best 1:44.6, which is fairly okay, I guess, on soft tires. After this personal best, we also see we are getting under pressure by car number 4. And this lap is also the start of a lot of action and things happening. As I go I cannot get my words out. As I go defensive into the chicane, back to the racing line though, but feeling the pressure and also messing up the chicane because of that. massive oversteer moment here, but that's because the car behind us gave us a little bump. Nothing too serious though, so it's all good. Sticking the car to the apex, also to go a little bit defensive in this case, but as you can see, he gets a good launch and yeah, overtakes us on the outside. I keep it on the inside to prevent myself from hitting him, giving up the position, and actually getting under pressure by the next car as well, which was the same car we saw spinning out after the chicane in lap 1. Looking back behind, we see he's very eager to overtake me, but is also in my dirty air, which is causing him problems to keep the car stable. Going into the penultimate corner, no need to go defensive because, as you see, the line is pretty tight and he goes wide again. But that's not all, because when we look back, we see him going into the wall and quitting the race. Skipping to lap number 4, and yeah, you can see it's obvious. I crossed the pit entry line. I didn't see it at the time, but yeah, it's obvious when you see this image that I'm crossing the line. So I'm gonna get a 3-second penalty, unfortunately. Switching to medium tires in the pit. Because using the softs and the medium is mandatory in this race, so you have to use both tire compounds. As we see the confirmation of me getting the 3-second penalty. Fast forwarding to, well, the point where I actually have to serve the penalty. Yeah, and this is really gonna hurt because slowing down that much doesn't mean you lose 3 seconds. It usually means you lose like 5 or even 6 seconds. So losing a position because of that as well. And we see the Spaniard going a little bit wide in this corner, probably because his tires are totally gone. I think he did not pit yet. You're gonna see that here. Yeah, he's going into the pit, choosing the pit entry line. As you can see, I give up my normal racing line for the last corner, simply to avoid any chance of contact with the guy pitting. Going into lap number 6, and yeah, usually after 1 lap the tires are heated up nicely, so you can go all out. But this track has the nature of burning down tires fairly quick. Also because the tire degradation rate for this race is pretty high, but that in combination with the high-speed corners and the long high-speed corners usually results in tire degradation at the end of the race. As we see the German having a massive moment in the corner after the chicane, which is causing him, yeah, to have dirty tires. Missing the apex in the next corner as well, so that's an easy pass. Getting straight 3 seconds clear after that. Again, easy on the throttle for this corner. A little bit too aggressive though, going into the grass, but nothing too serious. Just be mindful of the fact that, yeah, the tires are dirty, but we also exceeded the track limits. So we get served a ½ second penalty, which we have to serve at the end of the next lap. Which is a shame, but yeah, nothing you can do about it if it happens. Yeah, that's just the way it is. ½ second penalty is not too bad on this track, especially because it's not on a super high speed section of the track, the penalty area, as we see someone having a massive moment. Probably met barrier and going really slow, so easy overtake again. Hitting the apex nicely for turn 1. Getting a good launch for the next part. As you can see, we are gaining on the number 4. But also knowing that we have a half a second penalty, so there's no need to go really aggressive and try to overtake unless he makes a mistake or something else. But in this case, I already made up my mind that I would stay behind the number 4 car in this case. Going through this high-speed corner, which if you nail it is really good. Parking the car on the apex for this corner, getting notified that I'll have to serve my penalty, of course. There's no one behind me, so not in direct threat for an overtake because of the penalty. Serving the penalty, switching down a gear to get back up to speed. Skipping to the beginning of lap number 9, because this is where the race really starts to unravel. As I said, a 146 high, which is not good. We are on worn medium tires. At the bottom left of the screen you can see they are starting to drop off a little bit. We still have to go 2 more laps. And you can also see that the gap between me and the German at position number 5 is 2.6 seconds. And that gap will slowly start to come down as I'm starting to get a little bit trouble with keeping the car stable because of the tire wear. And at this point I saw that the gap was actually opening up a little bit. He probably made a mistake somewhere, I guess maybe in the chicane, or was too cautious there. This gave me a little bit of hope that it will be possible to maintain the 4th position in this case. But because I was looking at the gap all the time, I wasn't focused enough on getting my braking points and getting my lines right, which was starting to cause me trouble as well. And you see the gap is coming down quickly in this case, already down less than 2 seconds left. And yeah, I'm really getting trouble with keeping the car stable. Actually getting a good exit for the penultimate corner into the last corner. A little bit cautious maybe, but that's also because of the worn tires. Getting a really good exit. Not hitting the wall, but just like really scraping next to it. Looking back behind to see what the gap is. Into the final lap we go. Gap down to 1.6 seconds. So this is going to be really close. 1.5. He's gaining time really quickly now, and we have to go for 3/4 of the lap. So this is going to be really, really tight. Final time into the chicane, getting really close to the wall. But yeah, I had to attack and be aggressive to try and hold this position and get a nice result. Gap down to 1.4. Going into the final sector of the track. Messing up my apex and getting a little bit of oversteer in this corner. Gap down to 1.4 seconds. 1.2 going into this corner. Really struggling with the grip now. Yeah, so gap down to less than a second. He's really gaining on me as I look back. And I prepare myself to go defensive in each corner, of course trying to race fair and square. He's right up on me for this last part of the track. This is going to be an epic fight for the 4th place in this race. As I go defensive for the next part. And this is where I make a really big mistake going defensive for this corner, which is not necessary, but that also means that he is getting a good launch. Drag race to the line. Is he gonna get it? And as you can see, he got me just before the finish line. The closest gap possible. Less than a tenth. A couple of thousandths of a second, yeah. Just the closest of endings. Props to the German who overtook me in the last lap just before the finish line. good job for him. Yeah, even though I lost, I really enjoyed the race, and I think this is what online racing should be all about, deciding races like this. Even though you're on the losing side, it was really enjoyable, and I hope you enjoyed it too. Bye.